Well, good. Thanks for joining us. Today we've got a great interview with one of our ABS licensees, Julianna Madsen. Now, those of you who have not been on the webinar before, I want to kind of start out by introducing myself. My name is Patrick Phillips. I'm the founder and CEO of American Business Systems, and I do these webinars every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Time. So it's kind of like a radio station, radio program. You can join in anytime you want to. I'll give you the link here at the end of this one as to how you can sign up for the next one. And these are invitation-only webinars, but they're open. You can share them with friends and relatives, whoever you want to. There's nothing really proprietary about them. I am a published author. I put these books up here just so you can see that I am a real person, and you can find these in any local bookstore or on Amazon.com. The one on the right is a marketing tool that, as an ABS licensee, kind of like a franchisee, but we're not a franchise, you can have that book as a gift that you give to doctors to help market your business. So let me just start out with the real basics here. Just take a second, and then we'll get right to the interview with Julianna. Who is American Business Systems? Well, folks, for the last 19 years, yes, since 1994, we have been teaching other people all across the country from every age bracket, every background you can imagine, how to start their own medical billing business. Ours is a web-based system, which means you don't have to have any software on your computer. You literally go to any computer that has an internet browser and an internet connection, and you connect to our system and start using it. It's great because you can use it on iPads and iPhones and anything that's connected to the internet. Now, here's our website. If somehow you got to this webinar today and did not go to our website, you can find out more about our business opportunity here at absystems.com. You'll see it there at the top of the screen. And I'll mention it again towards the end of the webinar. But go there, click on one of those two orange buttons that you see on the screen there if you'd like more information, even more than what you see here on this website. And what we do at that point is connect you to what we call our virtual brochure. Now, this has lots of videos and lots of information about our opportunity, how we help you get clients, all about our training, our support, the technology, and so forth. And it will take you into detail about that. So, again, just go to our website and click on one of the orange buttons there. We're also members, by the way, of the HBMA. This is the Healthcare Billing and Management Association. They are one of the largest national organizations that have a word and a voice in Washington, and we are a member of this and pass along information from them to our members. We are actually the nation's largest network of independent medical billing companies in the United States. You can check us out if you're doing your due diligence at the Better Business Bureau here in Fort Worth. We have an A+ rating. That's the highest rating possible, of course. And we're very proud of that because we do what we say we're going to do, as you'll see when we talk to Julianna here in just a minute. You can come visit us if you want to here in Keller, Texas. It's a little suburb of Fort Worth. But you fly into DFW. We'll pick you up and bring you to our corporate headquarters, give you a tour, introduce you to people here at our home office, and you're welcome to do that anytime. Just let us know ahead of time that you're coming. We do live training workshops to teach people how to get into the medical billing business. Folks, this is a business opportunity, so it's not a job that you're getting with us. We're not training you to go get a job in a doctor's office. We're training you to be your own boss. And so we do training for a full week. The next one coming up, as you can see, is next week, February the 25th of March the 1st. And it is a full 8 to 5, 5 days. So if you're interested in getting into that, we have about 4 seats left right now out of a seating of about 20. So be sure and get back with your ABS rep. You can call us there on that toll-free number there on your screen, or engage with us over the website by hitting one of those orange buttons. Okay, well, let's see if Julianna's on the phone here with us today. Julianna, you still with us?
I'm still with you.
Boy, I blew that picture up way too much, didn't I? Oh, you're not at a computer, though, are you?
That's the only picture I could find of my headshot.
It was just a little bitty one, I guess, and when I blew it up, it kind of got a little fuzzy there. But, no, it looks good. It's fine. I've actually paused the screen here because I wanted to just take a second and make sure that I can do what I need to do with that picture because I blew it up, like I said. It's way too big. Okay, well, Julianna, thank you for being on here today. I appreciate that so much. I'm going to just start out by asking you some questions, as if, you and I have never talked in our entire life, basically, kind of like a radio host would. But for the sake of those people listening, I would like to say this, folks. You can type in questions, if you'd like, yourself that you would like me to ask to Julianna. And you do that with the question box that's over on the far right-hand side of your screen, or somewhere on your screen. Look for that GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar control panel. And there's a little question box down there, and you can just type in those questions. I'll read them out loud as they come in, and we'll ask them to Julianna. Is that okay, Julianna? You open that?
That sounds great.
All right. Well, Julianna, tell us about when you were looking at this business. This has been, what, maybe almost 4 years ago, right? No, three and a half.
Yeah. 2009 is when I came to training, but my past life, I was in corporate America. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, so I worked at Turner Broadcasting. And after having kids and had small kids, it just got more and more demanding and more just out of the office, and kids, at daycare for way too long of a day, and just kind of got out of control. So I was always looking for something different to do, and whether it was to go part-time and stay at Turner or whether it was to do something completely different, I was just always looking and deciding if there was something to do. And so I guess it must have been, maybe end of 2008, I was on, I don't even know if this is a website anymore, but it's franchisegator.com, and I was looking at anything and everything. So franchises, and then this popped up for ABS, and so I started doing some looking into that because a lot of my experience at Turner was very operational, analytical, project-driven. So all my skill sets were really transferable. And actually, as a little girl, I used to always want to be in the medical field. I wanted to be a nurse. I wanted to be something of that sort. But math and science are not my strong suits. So I put that out. So I've always been, fond of the medical world. So it kind of caught my eye, and I did some due diligence, and then, talked to my husband about it, and obviously talked to Eric and all the people at ABS, and then finally, pulled the trigger and said, okay, I'm going for it. And so in November of 2009 is when I came out to Texas for my training.
Yeah, wow, that just, it was a long time ago. That's a long time. Now, let's see, you were in corporate America, so you had corporate titles and all the benefits and that kind of thing. How was it jumping into your own business?
Well, yeah, that was the scary part. I mean, you were kind of going from what was somewhat stable, although it wasn't really that stable, because that was the time when all the big corporations were laying people off and different things were going on. But my husband also worked. So we knew that we would keep his benefits and those types of things even when I left. So that was a consideration. Although now neither of us are in corporate America anymore, so we just have our own, health insurance and our own life insurance, and just had to kind of go out on our own and do all of that. So it's actually a good exercise, because you kind of take for granted that you think you've got a really good policy with a really big company, but when you go out to do it all yourself, you realize that maybe it wasn't such a good plan.
Right. Yeah. You get a lot more when you're shopping on your own.
Yeah. So that part, is a little scary, but I really needed the flexibility, and I wanted more time with my family, and being able to be my own boss was obviously a big driver as well.
Oh yeah, that more than anything, it'd be hard to go back now, wouldn't it?
Oh, I tell people, I'm like, I would have to be extremely, extremely desperate to ever go back to corporate America. Oh, how funny. There we are from the training.
Yeah, I went back and found that and thought I'd stick that up there. Yeah, this was when you graduated from our training class that week, and we take pictures of folks, and there we are together. I got a lot more gray hair than I did that time.
Me too.
All right, so let's see. Where do I start? Let's talk about kind of where you were then and where you are now. Just jumping ahead, we'll get some details in between and fill it in here for folks. But where are you at right now in your business, Julianna? Just kind of give us a feel for that.
Okay. So currently I have sort of a variety of clients. Obviously the billing is the core function and the core driver. So I have 6 billing clients. Let's see, 6 of them are doctors and 2 are durable medical equipment facilities. So I have 6 accounts, but one of them is a 3-doctor practice. So I have some pediatrician, I have 2 family practices, and one of those family practices is the one that has 3 doctors, and I have 1 OBGYN. And then, like I said, the other 2 facilities are durable medical equipment, which is actually a really cool thing. It's basically hair salons that supply and basically do hair replacement systems for cancer patients. So they are in the medical community, and they're out there getting the oncology departments and the cancer centers and the hospitals to refer their patients to them while they're going through chemotherapy. So that business is actually growing because I'm a preferred vendor for the overall manufacturer of wigs called OnRight, and I'm also their conference educator. So that one is kind of a really cool specialty niche that I would have never in a million years thought I would be a part of, but I am, and it's really kind of cool. So I also do credentialing. It's a good way to get people comfortable with me and to get sort of my foot in the door, especially people that are leaving. There's a lot of doctors these days leaving big practices to open up their own. I guess they're getting fed up with sort of the big practice and the 30-doctor practices that are really not running very efficiently. So when they leave their practice, they then need to get credentialed and contracted with all the insurance carriers to open their own shop. So I've done 3 physicians, 2 that I continue to bill for, and I'll do all of these durable medical equipment. So far I've done probably 9 or 10 credentialing contracts for those durable medical equipment salon owners, and then 2 of those, like I said earlier, I do monthly billing for them. And I do have a handful of patient payment plan clients, which is actually probably the first client I ever got was my dentist who got on the patient payment plan, and I've been doing that for him probably, gosh, that was definitely the first thing. So since probably 2010, I've been, basically partnering with his office on those, and they now have 2 locations. So that's not anything that takes up any amount of time, but I'm happy to help him and happy to do that for him. So that's sort of the lay of the land right now. I'm really, really busy. I have 1 part-time independent contractor, and in the midst of or in progress of hiring 2 more part-time independent contractors.
Oh, awesome. In other words, letting other people do the grunt work, huh?
Yeah. Now, I'm glad that I've been doing it myself this whole time, but now I'm definitely ready to sort of hand the reins over to some folks, and especially the 3-doctor family practice. They are a lot of work. They have a lot of volume, and so I find myself getting bogged down in their details that I really need some help with getting some of these other accounts off my plate. So 1, I can go out and get more clients, but 2, so I can really get this, keep this 3-doctor practice happy, because if I lost them, I'd be not doing so great. You don't want to lose anybody.
Well, you're like every business owner. Everybody works in their business for a while, and then it finally dawns on them at some point, hey, I should be working on my business instead, building the business, managing the business, and letting other people do, the stuff that needs to be done on a day-to-day basis. So that's typical.
Right.
Now, Did you say the other day when we talked, Julianna, that your husband was going to get involved maybe in your business, or is he already?
He actually is not. We've talked about it a lot, but then we kind of laughed and said, I don't think let's not work together too. We kind of decided, but he.
I can identify. Yeah.
Yeah. We have talked about that at some point, that if he had the time, that he really could be a good sales rep for me, and be out there doing the business development, since that is something that it's been lacking for me in the last several months. But he's actually about to go do his own little endeavor, so he is not really part of the process, except for always having his ears and eyes open for when he meets doctors out there or meets somebody that works for a doctor's office. He's always trying to pitch my services.
Well, that's good. Well, yeah, he can be useful to you in putting more business in the pipeline there for you. Yeah.
Right.
So give us a feel for, I mean, I'm just assuming, I think you even told me when we were talking the other day that you were making about, a good six-figure income there in corporate America. Have you been able to replace that? Are you close to that, or?
I am very close to replacing that, especially with that 3-doctor practice. It really has hit, has made me go up a lot higher in what I can bill out on a monthly basis. I'm probably about one practice away from getting back up to where I was, but I'm still extremely close to where I was, so I'm happy with that.
Sure. So your husband, I guess he has his own job, and of course, so basically you guys have got 2 incomes now, and you're almost back to where you were. That's terrific. That took you about 3 years to get to that level, and how long did it take you to get to that level in corporate America?
Well, I was there 17 years, so yeah, it took a lot longer than 3.
There you go. People talk about being worried about not having insurance and things like that, and I say, you know what? I haven't worried about that because at one point I started making a whole lot more money than I was on my real job, and I had plenty of money to buy my own insurance. That is not a question in my mind now at all. So that's the nice thing about being in business for yourself. If you don't like your income, just get up a little earlier and work a little later.
Exactly. That's right.
Hey, we got some questions coming in, Julianna, so let's take one here from Matt. He says, Julianna, did you interview and research any other medical billing companies before picking this one, and why did you pick ABS?
You know what? I really didn't. The one thing, as I said earlier, I kind of had been looking around and looking at other things along the years, and the only other thing I looked at, which was probably several years prior to even looking at ABS, was healthcare pharmacy recruiting kind of a franchise, and decided that it was way too pricey. The price of the entry was way too much for what it was. So I decided not to do that. And so when I was looking at ABS, I really didn't. The only other thing that was probably out there was to go to a medical billing class or get certified, and I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to get this whole package. I wanted to be able to come to training and have the support and have the marketing materials, and of course doing my due diligence, I got to see the different systems that were in play at the time. Now there's a lot more systems to use, which is also great, because every time there's something new that ABS signs on, then we all get to put that in our toolkit and in our back pocket as something to use later on. But I never really looked at anything else, because the price of entry for this was very reasonable. I kind of looked at it like, if I totally failed, if I totally busted, that price was not going to bankrupt us. It wouldn't feel great, but it wouldn't, we wouldn't be out on the streets.
Yeah, now we've probably gone up on our licensing fee since you joined us, Julianna, but the point is, no matter what it is, we try to keep it low enough to where it's not a barrier to people getting into business for themselves, because there's a whole lot more expensive business opportunities and franchises out there, of course.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we do that because our model is set so that we actually make money on the transactions as well on the back end. So it's not just I don't have to have a huge upfront fee of $100,000, say, because I can make money on the transactions as well. So we just want people out there signing up doctors and processing claims.
I really, the website, the LSS is great. The forums that are in there are great. Like you said, the unlimited lifetime support of everything, and the marketing material, everything is just, you have everything at your fingertips. And then, of course, support. So, I really didn't ever look at anything else.
Yeah, okay, let's see. Here's a question about some setup and clearinghouse fees. Greg, I'm going to get to that here in just a second. Let me address some things that have more directly to do with what Julianna has been talking about here. For example, Bonnie wants to know, can you please explain credentialing, Julianna?
Yeah, credentialing is specifically when a doctor has to get credentialed with all the insurance carriers in order to be in network and have an in-network contract with, say, UnitedHealthcare or Aetna or any of the other providers, so that when any of their patients come to see them, they're getting the in-network provider rate reimbursed for that visit. So they have to have that, or they're not going to be, nobody's going to come see them if they're out of network in all the major plans.
Right. So it's basically doing the paperwork to get all that set up for a doctor, and they just don't want to mess with it, do they? They'd rather somebody else do that for them and pay you a fee to do that.
Yeah, because it's very time consuming, but it's easy. I mean, it's not rocket science, but they just don't want to hassle with it. And the biggest thing is that you just have to follow up until it's done.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of little I's to dot and T's to cross. And like Patrick said, you basically, for my durable medical equipment, I just charge a flat fee to research them, because a lot of them they can't get a contract anyway. And then for like a doctor, I charge per contract.
Yeah,
but
Julianna, that's not a part of our training, of course, because we don't emphasize that you'd even want to do that. But you just decided to do it and learn that on your own, basically, huh?
Yeah, yep, because people wanted to know if we did that, if I could help them with that. And at the time, I had another resource that was helping me. And then once I realized how easy it actually was, I thought, well, I can now say that I can help them get credentialed and then just do it myself.
And so that's the advantage of us not being a franchise, because, with a franchise, you got to do it exactly the way they tell you to, and you can't go out on your own and do anything. And we do have a credentialer, one of our licensees who actually does the credentialing for other licensees like Julianna. But like she said, she just decided, hey, I can learn this and do this on my own, and I'll charge the fees and keep all the fees for myself. So that's the great thing about having your own business.
Right.
All right. So Jeanette says, Julianna, do your contractors work out of their home? You don't have a commercial office space, do you?
To be as virtual as possible for as long as possible, because that's one of the things that I think will attract people. It's one of the things that attracted me. I mean, I still am working out of my office in my house, so all of my staff can be connected virtually. So yes, they work out of their house, and we have like weekly calls, and of course, all of the systems that we use are web-based. So I log in and can look at all the things that they've been doing from their login. So it's all very transparent on what they are or aren't doing.
Yeah, and with the technology available today, like this GoToWebinar we're using here, you can have virtual meetings with people with video, kind of like Skype, and have meetings virtually and really never have to leave your house. You could order pizza and just never leave.
Yeah. There have been some days where I have never left.
Yeah, me too. I work out of my home most of the time now, Julianna. I'm about 10 minutes away from our, actual offices that I showed a picture of earlier, but why go in? I can just lay around here, very relaxed, very comfortable. It's kind of rainy out today, so I'm here with a cup of coffee, and I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
Lisa
That's the one thing that I ever missed from corporate America, is that I'm not, dressed in a suit and out the door at 7:30 in the morning to traffic.
Yeah, fighting traffic the whole way, yeah. All right, so Lisa says, she said DME. I'm confused. What is her 3-doctor practice? Oh, that's kind of two different questions. You want to explain what DME is?
Yeah. DME is durable medical equipment. So those are the salons I was referring to earlier. It's a very specialty niche within that larger category of durable medical equipment. It's a type of provider, but my 3-doctor practice is a family medicine practice.
Oh, it's just family
so they're not
medicine.
related.
Yeah. Right, not related at all. Okay, good. Tariq says, are you on payroll or just relying on your profit and cash flow? I guess that means, do you pay yourself a salary each week or draw some out?
Yes and no. I did not for a very long time, because we were in a situation where I was able to just kind of put it in my business bank account and pay the things that I needed to do for business expenses. And I did not pay myself for a long time, but now I am. I'm paying myself, twice a month, and paying my staff twice a month, and keeping up with all the different things that I use QuickBooks. And basically,
different licensees do that differently. Some of them just take out. Some licensees just take out money when they need to out of their business, and whatever lump sum they need to. Others put themselves on regular payroll.
Yeah, I don't really run payroll per se, but yes, I pay myself, and on the end of the 15th and the 30th of each month, I'm typically writing a check from my business account and depositing into my checking account.
And is that are all your contractors like independent contractors?
Yes. Yeah, they're all 1099. Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't have to mess with taxes or Social Security or all that stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Sanjay's asking a question about the cost of the training and so forth, and Sanjay, I'll address that here towards the end. Matt says, how were you able to obtain your clients? Can you give us a feel for how you ran across your clients?
Yeah. So there's lots of great resources, and when I first got back from training, I set up I got my LLC set up, I got my website set up, I got sort of all my whole office and everything in order, and then I did like a big mass mailing to just pretty much anybody and everybody I even knew. That generated, some leads. I talked to some people, and really once I got comfortable talking to people about what it was I was doing and what it was I was trying to get into and why I wanted to talk to them, then I got referrals. But I will say, my first couple of practice analysis didn't go great, or I didn't ever end up getting that business, or, like one guy, he was a plastic surgeon, he said he was going to sign with me. I went there over and over and over, and finally after 9 months, I was like, are you going to sign or not? And then he decided not to. So that was great, a learning experience, but it also helped me realize, when to kind of cut your losses and cut your ties. But mostly it was from networking groups. I found specific medical networking groups, whether it was a group where they only had one medical billing seat and I would fill that seat, or go somewhere like I'm part of several different medical associations where either the practice manager or the practice administrator or all the doctors are part of it, so they're the decision makers. And then they see there over and over and over. So I made investments in which ones I thought were going to get me the best leads and build the best relationships. And you really have to be picky and choosy about which ones you go to after a while, because you just don't have time to go to them all. But most of my business was from, like, my first client was from, I was in the medical networking group, and we met twice a month for lunch, and there was just one person for each seat of each kind of like business. And the IT guy, who was a medical IT, had just gotten this account, and he introduced me to her. She was a pediatrician, and got that account right off just because she trusted him, and that was all she cared about.
So kind of a warm referral.
Yeah, a warm referral. And then from her, I got the other pediatrician because he was a friend of hers, and he was about to start his practice, and she said, okay, well, you need to call Julianna. So it just kind of was just kind of referral based, and that's why the networking is such a critical part of the business.
Yeah, that's one of the things we teach, of course, in our training. We go into detail about that, don't we? And some people don't realize the importance of that until they get out there and realize that, hey, there's lots of connecting that can be done right there in your own city, with people who know doctors.
Yeah. And the biggest piece of advice the biggest learning experience was it's kind of, the timing is the timing. If they are not interested in your services at that time, don't spend a whole lot of time trying to get them to meet with you. Just make sure they have your information and kind of follow up with them along the way, like every 6 months or so, because generally they don't want to talk to you unless they have a need. And then when they do have a need, like I've gotten calls, like every time I think my pipeline is going dry and I start panicking, I get a random call from somebody who's like, yeah, I met you a year ago at blah, 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 and we talk now. And I'm like, hey, this is really working.
Yeah. And really, all of us in business none of us probably follow up like we should. If we really did the follow-up like we should, we would get a lot more clients more often than we do. It's just easy to pick the easy hanging fruit, right, the new contacts out there and not follow up on the old ones. But I can't tell you, Julianna, how many times I've heard from licensees here at our office that, oh, I just got a client that was just out of nowhere. And then when we really probe them, they go, oh, well, yeah, I guess I did make contact with that person a while back. So, you know, you just got to work your leads.
Yep. And know when to not waste your time on ones that are never going to be leads.
Right. All right, let's see. Bridget says, Julianna, how many hours daily in the beginning and now are you putting into this each day?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question. In the beginning, I was only spending probably 20 or 30 hours a week, and I was just doing it at my own pace. But now that I've got all these clients and I only have the one part-time person, I'm probably working 50 or 60 hours a week because I'm doing all the work. So I'm doing more. I'm working more than I really want to, but it's for me and it's for my business. So as soon as I am able to get these other two people on board and get them trained and get them sort of proficient, I expect that number will go down from an actual, you know, where I'm cranking out work to then where I can be back out on the street and meeting people and building those relationships. So I think it'll probably still be, I mean, you can work as hard as you need to work, but you know, my goal is to keep every single client extremely happy and exceed their expectations, and we have a very sharp turnaround on getting everything done for each client. So I spend, you know, I pretty much work every day. Sometimes I'll tell my husband, I'm like, okay, it's Saturday, but I have at least 4 hours of work I need to get done to stay on track. But it may be because on Thursday I had to pick up my daughter at 2 o'clock and was off with her from 2 to 5 and didn't get 3 hours worth done on Thursday. So it's all just up to me on how I adjust and how I flip the schedule.
That's the advantage of you know, working out of your home, especially. You can just set your own schedule. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Hey, I tell people,
you can work
any hours you want to if you want to. This is web-based, and the Internet's open 24/7, so, you know, work at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, and some of my clients I have VPN access to because they're still on server-based systems, but I can log on. I mean, I can log on anytime.
Yeah.
Weekend,
right
night. Yeah.
Let's see. Sean says, Sean? Yeah. I think that's how I pronounce it. Is your business home-based or a commercial building? Well, he may have asked that before you told him a while ago you work out of your home still, yeah.
Yeah, home-based. But I don't really advertise that, obviously, to my clients. I just basically say, you know, when I'm back in my office, I'll give you a call, or, you know, they don't need to know that I'm just sitting in my pajamas in my office in my house.
Sure. That's right. And they never ask to come to your office anyway, do they? I'd say 90% of our licensees still work out of their home. There's no big deal about that at all nowadays. Okay, yeah. Matt, it says, does ABS help with credentialing? Yes, we do, Matt. We actually have a licensee who helps with that. I think I mentioned that earlier. Maybe you asked that question before I said that. This is about the licensing fees. Philip, I'll address some of that here towards the end. Lisa says, where are you located? You're up in the big state of...
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Georgia, yeah. I couldn't get it out of my mouth. Georgia, on the East Coast.
Georgia.
All right, and somebody else here, how did she get their accounts? I think you kind of addressed that a while ago. Okay, Sanjay says, Julianna, what type of support staff do you have? Could you please describe the type of work that they do to help in making your life easier? Well, you're just kind of getting started with new people, aren't you?
So I have, well, you know, I've got like a independent contractor IT guy that helps me whenever I have computer issues, because you kind of take that for granted when you work for a big company too, that you've got IT support. So I have somebody that is kind of like on call, so to speak, whenever I have those kinds of issues. But from a purely, you know, doing the actual billing for my clients and all the things that entails, basically, I would say that my independent contractor is an account representative and does everything. I mean, she basically takes the super bill, she gets the super bills that are scanned into our system every day, and she posts, you know, she sends out the bills, she follows it in the system, she posts payments, and she follows up on any, you know, rejections and denials and things that are out of the ordinary. I am very proud of our low rejection rate. We are under 2% of our rejections because we do it right initially. And all the systems have such great tracking and reporting tools that you can turn it around really quickly if there's an issue. But typically I have them do everything from A to Z for that account.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that way they're kind of like the managers of that particular practice, huh?
Yeah, and so what I've been trying to decide is how, as I grow, is how I want to. Will I have each person have, do I have them all focus on a certain specialty so that I can give like the one person the family practices, or the one person the peds, or those types of things. I haven't really figured that out because I obviously want them to all be sort of cross-trained as well, so that everybody can go on vacations and everybody can have some time off.
Exactly. Yep. All right. Let's see. Andrew wants to know: did you have any background or training in the medical field before getting involved with ABS?
I did not. I was solely in the cable world at Turner Broadcasting. But as I mentioned earlier, all of the skill sets that I had were easily transferable because, one, very analytical. Two, I had a lot of database training in those positions. We had a lot of different training databases there, or sales databases. So I knew I could learn all the different systems that were needed to do the medical billing. And so really all I needed to learn and all I spent most of my time on was getting familiar with the specialties that I work on and the coding around that. I know it is the doctor's responsibility to code, but you really have to know enough about coding to make sure that you're billing it correctly. So those are the main areas that I focused on. My extended learning and my extended education was on coding in the medical billing world.
Yeah. Yeah, you just kind of learn it's kind of on-the-job training to some degree, isn't it? I mean, because we certainly don't teach you everything you need to know in that week while you're down here. It's just a way to get started.
Sure. And, that's exactly right. A lot of it is you're doing it yourself. You've got to do, the Internet is great because you can find almost anything you need just by doing a Google search.
Right. Matt wants to know, Julianna, can ABS bill for dental offices? Have you ever had any dentists ask you about billing?
No, I mean, I do the patient payment plan with dentists because it's a nice addition to, if they have high dollar procedures that they're doing. But dental plans are so different than insurance plans that they pretty much have their own system set up that they use.
Yeah, and really not that many people have dental insurance. Now, we've actually, since you came through training, Julianna, we now have a web-based dental billing system that we do make available to our licensees, but we don't put that in the package initially because there's just not that much money. There's too much money out there in the medical field. Medical claims are probably 10 times what dental claims are. Yeah,
I would agree. I mean, you kind of have to. There's so many things that you can potentially use that is through ABS. You just have to kind of pick and choose and say which one is really the best resource for me. If you wanted to just go solely out to all dentists, then I would go for it. But the billing of the physicians is really the way to go.
Oh yeah, definitely where the money is.
And I kind of chiropractors too.
What did you say about chiropractors? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I stay away from chiropractors too.
Oh, you do? Why, they just
you do
ask?
I'm like, no, I don't. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, it's funny because it's weird. We've got licensees who specialize in chiropractic billing, so I guess it's what you get used to.
Yeah, it is.
All right, let's see. Phillips says, besides the licensing fee, he's talking about, the ABS fee to get involved with us. When you started out, how much more investment did it take for office equipment, insurance, traveling, advertising, et cetera?
Oh, gosh. Well, I mean, I already had computers. I already had a laptop. I already had sort of some of that stuff anyway because we had basically an office set up because each of us, my husband and I both worked from home, some from when we worked at Turner. So we had enough that was already set up like that. But of course, I did have to buy like a multifunction printer fax scan. Although I use a virtual fax company, so I don't use that. But I scan a lot and I print a lot. And you really just have to budget. What do you want to do? I mean, I did that mailing initially, but I had all the marketing materials that I really needed to get started. I have since purchased more marketing materials because you see them on the screen. They've changed since I was going. I love these, and so I've gotten the ones that I know that I like. I've got more of the iClaim, and the EMRX. I got some more of those because they were different from the ones I currently had. Plus, I had done a logo. I finally had a marketing person do my logo and everything, and so I liked being able to customize that onto there. But so it's hard to say a dollar amount because you just sort of do what you need to do.
But I mean, as far as equipment at the very beginning, as long as you have a computer and a phone, you're basically in business, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I already had my I already had internet access, obviously, and like I said, I already had computers and I already had a phone and a car, and all I really bought was the printer, multifunction printer.
Yeah, you can get those nowadays.
And of course, I got my LLC, so that was with my CPA. So I always encourage them, like, have a good CPA and have a good attorney, and so that costed that was a certain amount of money to form the LLC and to do all of that.
Did you utilize, we bring in an attorney to our training class now, and one evening or a couple of evenings during the week, she meets with whoever wants to help them get, set up.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I just used my CPA, and he had, his attorney partnership that he has, and I don't think that was available back when I came through, but that's great because if people don't have a resource, it'd be a little frightening.
Right. Let's see. In fact, we do an optional after-hours class now on business basics, we call it, on how to get a business started, how to get it set up, how to name it, how to get it registered, business cards, the basic stuff.
Yeah, because that's probably the one thing that, you don't have to have a medical billing background, but you certainly need to know if you're ready to own your own business, because there's lots of, little things that you have to do and that you got to do to make it successful. So I think that's great.
You bet. Let's see. Lisa wants to know what does she charge her providers? Can you give us a feel for that, Julianna? How do you charge your doctors for billing?
Everybody's a little different. It is solely based on sort of their volume and what I'm going to be actually doing for them. But I do bill a percentage of collections. So for like one of my family practices, it's a higher percentage because all I do is collect his insurance and post payments and that sort of thing. I do help them get their patient statements out, but I don't actually post and, collect anything from their patient balance. So then my other family practice is the 3 doctors. I do everything for them. They get every day I get their charges and I get all their payments, whether it was during their direct deposits or all the checks that come through the mail from the insurance companies and from their patients. So it's a lower percentage because I'm basically getting the whole cut. I'm getting the whole pie. And then my DME, my durable medical equipment providers, I have a minimum fee that I charge per month or a percentage, whichever is greater, because their business is so up and down that I want to guarantee that I'm getting something from them every month, regardless of how much I'm doing for them. So nothing can be cookie cutter. You've got to really figure out, what they're willing to do. And, most cases I would charge a setup fee, but that's the greatest thing to potentially waive or lower, because if you don't have a cost to entry for a setup fee, then you can sort of, in good faith, knock that off, and then they're extremely happy with you.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Let's see. Okay, just a couple more here, Julianna, and I'll let you go because I want to wrap it up here. This is from Bridget. She says, did you just cold call practices and clinics to offer services, or were you provided leads? How many working days did it take you to secure the first client? Well, you kind of mentioned earlier that you really did most of yours through the networking then. You didn't do a lot of cold calling.
Yeah, the majority of it has been through the networking. I did in the beginning when I only had like 1 or 2 clients, and I was really, at that point where I was like, oh my gosh, I need more clients to really make this work. I did try to do the cold calling, and really I did try to do like the jump start where you kind of walk in and hand off the information and then get the name and then leave and then try and kind of do the drip marketing, but that really didn't work for me. So I went back to sticking solely to networking and going to as many of those association events as possible, and getting on as many of the sort of networking, medical networking lunches, and also LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn quite a bit because I'm on a lot of those groups where you see people posting stuff, and it's kind of like blogs or whatever. And I've had people call me from that. But really it's all about, I found that it's really referrals, and that cold calling for me didn't work, and it's not any fun, so I don't do it.
That's a good way to put it. It is not any fun, is it? And
Really
fortunately,
not fun, no.
Fortunately, in our training classes now, we go through about 10 different ways to market, and these are all different ways that we've tested over the years. And some of them you'll like, some of them you won't, some of them you'll try and you'll go, I don't like that, and you'll try something else. But that's why we give you so many different options, and some things appeal to you and some don't. Depends on your personality.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, you mentioned that. I'm going to put that up on the screen because some people don't know about that. That's a great resource, Julianna. Thank you for sharing that. LinkedIn.com. Go check that out, folks, because you can link up with a lot of different businesses in your area. We go into that now, by the way, in our training. Another session we hold now is called How to Use LinkedIn and Facebook to Market Your Business. So social media type stuff. Yeah. Well, Julianna,
and I've also gone to trade shows and been an exhibitor or a sponsor at trade shows.
Yeah, trade shows. We had a licensee do one of those recently and had 5 doctors stop by and give them business cards. So, yeah, they actually work, and we have a whole session on that, of course, in our training too. So one last question here is from Joanne. She says, how do you make your money? So I think what she's kind of asking, for people who don't know this business, how is it that you actually get the cash in your bank account, in other words? You bill the doctor.
So at the end of every month, I produce my invoice for each of my clients. And I basically, put it into QuickBooks and print them off an invoice and send them my invoice along with my report that coincides and backs up and validates that bill that I'm sending them. And then they turn around and cut me a check. Or thankfully, my largest one, the family practice with the 3 doctors, I draft their account once they have approved my invoice. So that's nice because I draft it and I get it right then.
Yeah, that is nice.
It was just really nice because they're obviously my biggest invoice. So basically I just do that at the end of every month. So the end of the month is kind of crazy because you're trying to post as much as possible and you're trying to, get everything, it's just like anybody else. Month end, close time for accountants, and even for the doctor's offices, they're trying to close out their months and that sort of thing. So you're making your money by, let's say my percentage is 7%. I run my report, I've collected X amount, and then I'll say, okay, 7% of that is whatever, and then that's what my invoice is for that month.
And they really can't question that because they can go online. You can give them access to go online and actually see it in the system if they wanted to, huh?
Yeah, and the reports that I give them coincide with everything that I've posted from, the first of the month all the way to the very end of the month.
Sure.
And they can look on their ledgers and they can look in the system as well to see that it's all there.
Well, Julianna,
and some of them have like this family practice. They have pretty stringent balancing of each day. So I balance my payments with them on a daily basis. So there really isn't any question with them at the end of the month because it's as plain as a report.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty clear. And again, I've never had a licensee say that the doctor ever questions that, because it's not like you could hide something from them because it's a web-based system in real time. So it's pretty obvious what's actually been collected. It's right there in the front of their face.
That's right.
Well, Julianna, thank you so much for being on here today. I appreciate your time. And recently, Julianna let me know about some things that she had happening, and I was so proud of what she's done. I sent her a little iPad Mini. You like that?
I love it. Yes, thank you.
Well, somewhere down the line, we want to do a webinar using that, a little interview, and then I can record that, and we'll actually have a video of you actually talking to us.
Oh boy!
So get you a Skype account and start practicing with somebody, and we'll set that up sometime. Well, thanks again for being on here, Julianna. Thanks for your time, and I know this has been helpful to a lot of people. We didn't get to all the questions that people asked, but we saved those and turned those into our reps and make sure that all the answers get to everybody. So, thanks again. Have a great week, and I hope you continue to build your business just like you have for the last 3 years.
Great. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it.
All righty. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
All right, folks. If you've not seen our money-back guarantee on our training workshop down here, I know this is a big decision. I know there's a lot of money. Our licensing fee is $25,000, and it includes this whole week of training down here, lifetime support, and tons of marketing materials and all kinds of other stuff. But the main thing is that you wouldn't know really what it's all about unless you actually sit through the training workshop. So I came up with this guarantee that just basically says if you sit through that thing for a whole week, you don't think this is right for you, even after seeing all of our proprietary information, you just tell any staff member and they'll arrange for you to receive a full refund of your license fee. So that's about as straightforward as it can get. It's in your contract that you sign when you sign up with us as a licensee. You have to get your paperwork in if you're going to get here next week, because we have a training class starting on Monday, and there are 4 seats left, so you do have time to get your funds in if you haven't already. Next week at this time, 3 o'clock Central Time, we'll have another webinar. I'm going to be covering why web-based medical billing systems are superior to the server-based software. Folks, you just can't imagine what kind of bad software there is out there. And I'm going to compare our web-based leading-edge technology software that you'll be using as an ABS licensee to do the billing for doctors with some of the software that you actually can install on your computer. I'll show you all the advantages of working virtually over the web versus having the software right there on your own computer. So be sure and tune in for that. You can sign up for that, by the way, right here at this website. This is our website, and you'll notice there I've highlighted that you basically can go to absystems.com/webinars, and that is something I'm going to actually put right now in the little chat window over there to everybody. So let's see if I can paste that in there. Yep, here it goes. Now look over in the chat window, and you can actually click on that link right now in the chat window of GoToWebinar, that little control panel that's somewhere hidden on your screen probably. Go right now to that link in the chat and click on it, and you can sign up for next week's webinar if you want to be on that one as well. Again, folks, that training is coming up next week, so here's our phone number, here's the dates. Be sure and be on all these webinars you wish until you've decided that this is the right business for you. This has been Patrick Phillips. I'm the founder and CEO of American Business Systems, and I'm hoping that I see you at one of our upcoming live training workshops soon.